Right. So now we've had the episode with No White Guilt. No White Guilt is someone who's been talking about white well-being. He's a form of a new voice for white well-being. I would say not that he's been involved just recently, but he's a new voice in the sense that he terms his stuff differently from white nationalism traditionally. And he comes there and he says, Curt Doolittle and his talk of revolution is fundamentally incompatible with white well-being, and it undermines the quest for white people to be forming an identity group within current societies. So how do you react to that critique?
Well, I mean, I react to put on you.
Sorry, we lost you for a moment. Are you there?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
here. I'm worried the video feed may be too much for the connection here in the office.
Here, let me remove a little bit of the strain, and you can go on.
All right. So there's a couple of things he brought up. The first is legitimate, which is, well, you know, if you actually go try to do this stuff, something bad will happen. I agree with that. That's true. I'm probably a little more indirect and quite a bit more sophisticated thinker than that, so I'm not really trying to get people to go out into the streets right now. Matter of fact, I have a policy on my page, which is I republished today, which is, you know, if you can't talk in the open and not violate the law, then I don't want to have anything to do with you. If we ever comes a time where we have to act together, we act together, and that's it. But I don't do anything like I don't have like secret little chats and offline stuff. Everything I do is right out in public. His other stuff is really, I mean, I kind of like that you let the guy talk and sort of commit suicide, you know, on the air. It was embarrassing. Well, you know, if he's basically, you know, when he comes out with this, what's his real thing? He calls it, what does he call it? Well-being.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And then he says, well, do the hard work of talking to people at the dinner table, and have the courage to hand out leaflets. I mean, seriously, is that an argument? I mean, what's going to happen? Why is conservatism in such a disaster right now? Why?
Because we couldn't persuade people.
We got nothing to sell, right?
Yes.
Right. And why do we have nothing to sell?
Oh, because it's not in the advantage of people to be convinced by conservatism, at least not the mass.
That's right. And furthermore, so why isn't conservatism in the interests of most?
Because they evolved to suck and drain the system.
Well, I mean, or put it another way, it's their meritocracy is inhospitable to their reproductive strategy. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. And, you know, meritocracy is hospitable to ours. The difference is that we can do fine without them, and they can't do so well without us. So, you know, my view is that our job is to end the use of the state as a means of organizing parasitism against our people and against their interest, and to give people confidence that if they want, they give people a tangible solution that's actually implementable. In other words, it's written in the law, it's amends the Constitution, there are specific policy, the specific policies are implementable, there's the incentives exist, the financial, the economic, the political incentives exist correctly, you know, sufficiently to carry this out, and then to give them the courage that if they want to uprise, they can, and therefore to make that uprising, the faith in their ability to win so certain that the government capitulates and we come to a table and discuss, rather than have this continued use of monopoly majority to destroy our people. I mean, that's what really people don't understand why one of the reasons democracy fails is that it's just, it's of course it's underclass rule, but it's moreover it's a monopoly. It's not a market. I mean, under the English system, we had the monarchy, the aristocracy, and the business owners, basically the middle classes. And then we enfranchise other people eventually, but we enfranchise them into one house instead of maintaining these separate houses, which were means of, they're a marketplace for the classes to exchange wants and needs. Well, we've created democracy across the world. It's just a monopoly. And of course we know it doesn't work, but it's just a monopoly. So I'm trying to bring there, since there's no way for us to actually achieve our ends in a monopoly, the only way to do it is to force a negotiation.
Absolutely. And I think that's essentially the disagreements between you two is a factual disagreement in the end about whether or not right-wing values or white well-being or however we want to term it, this group of values that we're interested in, whether it is possible to win in current society. And historically, it's not how it's been.
Here's my other retort then. Here's what you had. You had a guy talk it kind of frustrated me. You let a guy talk for a while. Now, if you listen, I'm a super nerd. If you listen to me talk, I have to constrain myself from quoting authors, papers, and books. But if you listen to me talk all the time, I'm doing that constantly. Right. If I don't, then I try to make arguments that are operational or structured. What I heard yesterday was, well, I just think, and that won't. And then I got the magic technology stuff from the government. I mean, have you ever worked with the government? I have. I've done technology stuff for the government. In fact, the reason I actually sold my company in 2009 to Accenture was because we're doing so much government stuff that I couldn't hire enough people to do it. So I just sold the company to most of it to Accenture, Avanade Accenture. So, you can, you're doing this stuff inside. If you've done, government, I mean, this is the real issue with the alt-right is that we don't have any people that have actually had any substantive responsibility other than themselves or maybe their families. And you have these, when you look at, guys like me, you run $100 million company, you build a couple of them, you dance around the world with the other guys like you that have, agency and influence. You are dealing with political or governmental or Fortune 500 companies. You deal with these people, you understand that the world works by incredibly tediously boring, pragmatic, non-conspiratorial self-interest. And everybody in the world does this. There's really bad if you have really bad incentives, government, then you're going to get really bad results. If you have really bad incentives, a lot of Fortune 400 companies, you're going to have bad things. If you have the really bad incentives, a lot of things like our entire economic financial sector, you're going to have bad things and your people are going to get screwed. And so, it's the fact that people sit here and say, well, the governments do this, they know everything. No, they don't. I mean, if you knew what they actually knew, you would laugh at them. I mean, look what's happened. I mean, he brought up a bunch of things like Ruby Ridge, where there's a static group of people who have no assets and resources, who are just being stubborn, or the Branch Davidians. And you're not bringing up the whole world is full of things that go on right now. And I've been part of some of them, where you realize how small a number of people it takes to make radical change. So I don't know. I didn't hear a paper, a citation, I didn't hear anything from this guy for an hour. And so I'm like, okay, well, basically what you're doing is he's got the thing where he's there's a basic technique. If you have a baritone voice and you speak with passion, people will always agree with you regardless of what you say. Matter of fact, we have great research studies on this, where you can take audiences, say things that they would naturally disagree with, and they'll like you and agree with you in the surveys at the end, even though they didn't understand what you talked about. So, I mean, this is what the guy is doing. He's just talking about nonsense with no facts, no evidence, simple opinion and fear. And he's using he's using the modern equivalent of Christ will save you, or if you believe in Christ, it will happen. He's just really applying it to the political order. That's
Okay,
what he's
but
doing. And I'm like, I'm tired. I mean, it's like, okay, well, give me a criticism of my work or give me criticism if this is possible. But the truth is, I've got military guys around me all the time that say, well, actually, it's pretty easy. And the real problem is we're going to win. What do we do if we win? So, I didn't hear any of that from this guy. All I heard
yeah,
was
the thing is,
cloud world.
I agree that he didn't bring any citation or fact, but ultimately he has a single claim. His single claim is you will not undermine a strength like the United States government. What would you respond to that?
Do you know how many cities are capable of self-defense with their police forces?
No.
2. Washington and New York City. The average police department staffed in the United States is staffed for run rate, all right? They have to borrow from each other for events, and they have to pull in private citizens for actually almost anything. So they have an extended body of basically contractors they can bring in. How many people are in the United States military in total? And how many of them are field operational? Well, it's 2 million. How many people, how big is Afghanistan? Just to pick one. Afghanistan is roughly the size of New England, right?
I have no idea.
That's what it is. It's roughly the size of New England, right? I'm not going to go through all of, the problem is I don't want to create a revolution. I want to create the certainty that it's possible so that people have confidence that they can force negotiation on their demands.
Uh-huh.
That said, if you tell me that it's not possible, I absolutely positively am dead right certain, which is the reason starting in 2011, in 2012, the Obama administration poured so much money into arming every single government employee. That's why there's a shortage of bullets. That's why there's the manufacturers couldn't keep up with it. They have armed the entire administrative infrastructure of the United States. When it used to be, you had to be a certain, FBI or even the FBI, you had to be a cop to carry. Now they've got everybody armed. Why? Because they know it's coming, because they've done studies on it, because people have been talking about it. I mean, just search for just search and you'll see just search for it and you'll see the hits start showing up in 2010 to 2012. And what happens is, after they used to be publishing, for example, after 2001, they published all the vulnerabilities that were being reported around the country. And they had to stop publishing because they realized, I don't remember what year it was early in the 2000s, they stopped publishing, maybe 2006, because they realized that it was making it too clear how vulnerable the country was. I mean, I published a thing the other day, which is the one on electricity. Everybody knows this. An EMP doesn't put us out for a while. It means that we never come back. Well, you don't need an EMP. You just need a bunch of guys to realize that there's only so many ways things get done around here, and there's 9, in 3 days without water, 3 days without food. I mean, the whole thing collapses on itself. Well, do you need to do that? No, you need to people to understand that it's within their power to bring it about and to bring the government to its knees. Do you want to do that? No, you want people to have confidence in demanding from their government that what's right. Anyway, I think this is really obvious.
Right.
I think this is childishly obvious, but apparently not. Because I read and I investigate and I research, and other people listen to videos on YouTube.
All right. So I think that I largely agree with you that the case for possibility is not very hard to make. Possibility, we can think of futures. Of course, No White Guilt was accusing me of imagining unlikely futures. I don't think that World War III is an unlikely future. There were two wars. Pretty much, yeah. Because we're populating this planet with more people than ever, and there's going to be lack of space. That's as simple as this.
Lack of unsubstitutable resources. In other words, there's just right now we can substitute, right? But we're going to run out of the ability to substitute, and so you can see it happening all over the place. I've been saying forever. There's no climate change problem or pollution problem. There's a too many damn people problem for the carrying capacity of the planet. And then the economists come along and they say, look how dense the Netherlands is, and we can bring it can bring that over here. We could fit everybody in Texas. I'm like, yeah, but the waste product produced by those people still evenly distributes around the globe eventually. I mean, there's only so much toxic. Humans are incredibly toxic. So, I don't know. It just exasperates me.
Absolutely. Now you are, and so ultimately it boils down to one, this disagreement about facts, and secondly, the idea of tolerance within the right wing, and whether we are a unity and we need to think everyone the same, or we could have some speakers talk of separation, some others talk of white well-being within the current system. There's also this point that I wasn't convinced by No White Guilt, which is it's not necessarily dichotomously opposed that we have speakers on different branches of the right wing.
Think of it like we're an accidental general staff. You know what a general staff's job is for every military in the world is you write plans, right? And so you sit down and you say, okay, look, for example, what did, Norman Schwarzkopf got in charge of Desert Storm, whatever it was, because I can't remember which one he was in charge of, but he got in charge of that because he had written a plan as a member of the general staff for doing it. So what these guys do is they sit around and they dream up what could happen. And so when something does happen, you're not trying to pull people from around the world and try to come up with something on the spot in a hurry. You literally pull something out of a drawer and say, this scenario was produced by this. Can we do this? Yes. And you pull it out. And so you're always ready. And all general staffs repeatedly do this. It's a constant process. Now, I view the what we are doing is that we are general staffs, and the difference is that men tend to trust what they understand, and they form packs, and the packs use a particular grammar. And so for example, some people speak in religious allegory. Now, it's just allegory. They're trying to produce actions, but the language they use. Some people speak in what I consider ridiculous philosophical sophisms, but they're using this grammar to get to a result. And, some of us speak in science and some of us in law. We speak in these grammars. And the truth is we can only follow people we can understand. And so, I don't want to get into, well, it's basically an education level thing, but honestly it is, or an maybe demonstrated intelligence thing, but basically it is. There's sort of this arc. And so all of us are pursuing the same idea within our grammars. And the truth is that's what we want. We don't want to be unified between a certain solution. We want to have a bunch of solutions in case the opportunity to see in case an opportunity presents itself that one of these solutions can seize. And so I just see us doing that. And I don't view, and I think I might have sent you a link to this, but I've been saying this since at least, 13, 14, 15, somewhere in there, that, the whole point here is for us to keep doing this, is for people to just keep trying, and that we don't need to unify except on an opportunity. The trick is, if you think you're going to get what you want rather than a compromise between all those things, it's not going to happen. I mean, that's the old iron law of oligarchy. You're not going to get what you want. What you're going to do is get better. You're going to get the most possible better you can get with the people at your disposal. And that's what our job is. So I don't want to say, so my job is to be the super geeky guy. Here's what it would look like in law. And there's other people who are trying to say, you need to feel motivated. And other people need to say, we need to feel moral justified. And there's, we got all these people feeling whatever they want to do. But, I know what my job is. I'm the super geek, and I'm going to write down, here's exactly how you create a constitution. We'll modify this stuff whenever, by how whatever, regardless of how we get the ability to do it. Anyway.
Very interesting, this kind of binding effect whereby the combined results of individual desire gives a better and more general result. It's beautiful to think about this in the evolution of societies. You posted on your Facebook today in preparation for the show an interesting thing that I think comes from 2017 when you had written, here, look at how many languages we are speaking in now. Spencer is working on white nationalism. The Green Frog crew is working on ridicule in alt media. Ramsey Paul is working on pop criticism, alt media. Paul Joseph Watson is working on media criticism. Moliner is working on per education. He's lagging, but getting there. Mike is working within the system, and I'm working on the next system. And that's where you understand that having this range of opinions within the right is very valuable, because there's nothing that commits me from within the system view to be in opposition to what you say about after the system view or the next system view.
Yeah, and my whole thing is I don't punch people unless they punch me first. So mind your fucking business and I'll mind mine. You know, I understand we're all talking in these grammars. But you want to come after me, I'm going to not give up until you're done. That's my attitude. Look, if you have the stupidity to punch right, then you need to be taken out. We need not to be unified behind your idea or my idea or whatever. We just need a group of us to all take our tribes with us. And when it's time to go to war, so to speak, in whatever form that has, if it's political, if it's economic, if it's social, if it's martial, whatever it is, then we have to unify in an attempt to all get something better than we got. But I mean, frankly, we don't have very good leaders over here. So, you know, we're doing the best. Let's just stay with PAX and do it, but don't punch right.